can an honest politician actually succeed? And my personal conclusion is no.
Director Comey said that my answers were truthful and what I've said is consistent with what I have told the Americans.
Thousands and thousands of people were cheering as that building was coming down.
Deception involves two parts. The first is you're creating a false belief in somebody else, getting them to believe something that you know is not true. And the second is you have to intend to do that.
Deception comes in many forms. The most common form is people just leaving stuff out. I don't want to tell you certain elements of what happened last night, but I tell you everything else.
All human beings lie, and you would be hard put to find any human being that doesn't lie to some extent or another.
Deception and trust in politics and in life in general are very old ideas. We can look at the Greeks. There was Diogenes. He had his lantern. He was looking for a single honest man, and the story goes that he died without finding one. One of the really interesting linguistic patterns of deception is called the pronoun drop. This is where somebody says a statement that would normally have a pronoun, like the word I, disappear from their sentence. And the reason they do that is they're psychologically distancing themselves from a statement. One of the things we find is when it's about convincing a country to go to war, so big policy deception, that the president tends to use first person singular, I, less often. So they drop that pronoun when they're using the deceptive language. When Trump was asked about his contributions and conversations to the Attorney General of Florida, he says, "I've just known Pam Bondi for years. I have a lot of respect for her. Never spoke to her about that at all." And it's classic because in each of the previous sentences, the word I was there. And in that last sentence, which is the target sentence about whether he actually spoke to her about the case, he doesn't use the word I. An example from Hillary Clinton is when she was asked about the email controversy, her response was, well, it was allowed, rather than saying something like, I was allowed to do that.
We have this strong tendency to accept what we hear. It's because the idea of deception just usually doesn't cross our minds. The silly example I use is the two cavemen, right, who are out in prehistoric times. And a third caveman yells, "Saber-tooth tiger." One immediately runs, right? The other looks around and goes, I wonder if that's true or not. So which one passes on their genes?
Trust is the default. Even though we have a lot of concerns about deception and trustworthiness, day to day, conversation to conversation, we really do trust one another.
But the catch is, unless you have reason not to. So in political communication, it's interesting because it might be that politicians have a reason for deception.